Okay, what better way to enjoy a little bit of a political conversation than to have that with the crunch of the snow through the footsteps and two dogs, as well as a wonderful background. But I think this week was a bit of a trial for democracy overall. If you look at the events that happened at the White House between Zelenskyy, JD Vance, and Donald Trump, I think it's pretty evident that we should be disgusted and horrified by the protectionism that a dictator named Putin is getting. But meanwhile, we have democracy to uphold and defend, and it is a strategic game at stake here that we need to win, right? Just like the game of chess, right? You open the doorway with your pawns, and that's what diplomacy could be. But diplomacy involves strategic thinking, making the right moves, and just like in the game of chess, the moves that you have at one moment will certainly impact the future. And with diplomacy and politics, that future is potentially dire based on teaming up with an authoritarian regime. And when we look at the actions of Putin, he's sitting there laughing and giggling and thinking that it's wonderful what's happening right now. He literally has a supporter in Donald Trump. And that's terrifying. If you think about it, how could we possibly have gotten to this place where the president of the United States is going toe-to-toe against democracy? Think about what Donald Trump did to Canada. Think about what he is doing to Mexico. Think about what he is doing to Europe. All of the opportunities that exist there. And when you think about it, he could go after partnerships with the allies. He could benefit and sign sales agreements and new agreements with his allies to better America. He could get jobs brought to America based on those agreements. But instead, there's something deep and inherent in his desire for Russia. His desire to be all-controlling. His desire to be the emperor with all of the power. And it's time for us to put an end to this. Yes, some of his policies are great, and I have to admit that. Some of his policies, I think, will help when it comes to reducing the red tape, when it comes to enabling entrepreneurialism, when it comes to saving money and finding efficiencies. These are all good things, but we can't just go at it with a machete and slash everything. And we have to ask ourselves, what are we living in right now? Is it a planet that is unified? Obviously not. Is it a planet that is trying to find its way? Yes, it is. But it's also a planet that's being controlled right now. And the power that's in control could be just for power and more money. If you think about Elon Musk's goals, right? Well, he's clearly in bed with the stock market and would do anything for more money, which is also him going for more power. So his decisions cannot be just for the common good of humanity. They'll also be to enable himself. Whatever happened to the days of the politician that went to battle and went to war because the people needed it, because democracy needed it? So the only issue that I foresee, though, is when the backs are against the wall and the truth starts to unfold, what actions does Trump take, right? There's a difference between signing executive orders and actually taking actions. And my fear is that Donald Trump will soon take the actions. And if you think about it, he has not put troops on the ground in Ukraine against Ukraine. But in essence, that's exactly what's happening here. We have a president that is putting troops on the ground in the minds of the Ukrainians, in the minds and the politics of the world. He's putting American troops on the ground against democracy. And I think it's time for us to realize that this is what's happening and we must fight against it. And the funny thing is about a liar runs out of runway once they've told the last lie. And what I mean by that is eventually when nobody's listening, there's nowhere else to go but face the truth. So if we all stand up to the lies of Donald Trump right now, there will eventually be nowhere for him to go. Fewer meetings will happen. Fewer conversations between him and anyone else will occur. And yes, he might be able to connect to the likes of Vladimir Putin. But again, when the strength of truth overcomes the disabled lies, we will all be in a better place. So I'm not sure what your thoughts are, but in my mind, it was very clear that in that meeting, we had JD Vance ambush Zelenskyy, saying straight up, out of nowhere seemingly, so proving that it was planned, that he wasn't thankful, which is a lie and not true. And you could see that it was a prop up. You could see that Donald Trump was being quiet because of the pre-plan that was connivingly made in the office without Zelenskyy present. And JD was sent on a mission. And the sad thing is, it was executed to a pathetic nature, where JD actually looked shameful and disgusting as he was trying to get his point across. The reality is, the world stands with Ukraine. The world needs Ukraine to stand on its legs. And we need the world to understand that there's power in numbers, and we will continue to say no to Mr. Putin, and we will continue to say no to Mr. Trump. We do not align with you.